What's up guys, it's Chuuuf, back to keep you updated on everything in New World. This time we're going to be talking about a new patch note that Amazon Games released called The Empress of Ebonscale Reach. This is definitely going to be a bit of a long one. I'll have timestamps down below to all the different sections. I'm going to give you guys a quick overview just so you don't have to sit through the entire thing for all the most important stuff. But some of the stuff is definitely going to take some time. It might be a longer video. There's a lot of balance changes to weapons, but there will be timestamps to all of it down below. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up, the new zone Ebonscale Reach is a zone for level 51 and over. New corrupted dynasty musketeers, heavies, warriors, spear captains, summoners, and maidens, also tigers and corrupted tigers. New expedition, Garden of Genesis, the birthplace of the angry earth, but it has been infected with a blight. English voiceover for starting beach areas. New armor and weapon quest starting at level 40. These will not compete with in-game best in slot armors or weapons. They decreased the XP required from level 8 to 60 by 10%. Decreased XP rewards from PvP faction missions by 5% to 18%. Players killing weaker creatures now suffer diminishing returns on XP gains of 40% for creatures 10 to 19 levels below them, and 80% for 20 plus levels below them. Loot and gear, they adjusted many items logic to drop with stats relevant to the item. For example, no intelligence on a great axe. Hooray! Gem slot chances have been increased on dropped items. All equipment is either bind on equip or bind on pickup. Crafting and gathering. Rare resource drop chances have been increased. They also drop in amounts, like for example 1 through 10 every time they drop. Can add specific attributes to items but require a transmutation catalyst that needs to be purchased from your faction shop. Material converters can convert materials to other types, but you lose some in the process. The material converters can be bought from your faction shop. Added more into fishing, like more rarities of fish. Fishing armor with perks that will probably relate to fishing in some way. UI changes. Added full character view. New dynamic layout for inventory. Combat. Potions have a cooldown of 10 to 60 seconds depending on what they are. Most healing and mana potions are 10 seconds, and then mobility, at least I believe it's a mobility potion, is now 60 seconds. And there's some in between that. Block is now 180 degrees from 90 to increase the reliability of blocking. And then they did some balance changes on pretty much every weapon in the game, which I'll go to in the longer section because it's a lot of reading. So that's it for the quick overall updates. Now I'm going to get into the more detailed, where I'm going to give my opinion on some of this stuff, and it's definitely going to be one of the longer sections, but there's a lot of interesting little details in here that I want to make sure I cover and make sure you guys know about it. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting with the new expedition, Garden of Genesis. They say the Garden of Genesis is an expedition leading into the birthplace of the angry earth, where players must face elemental protectors in order to penetrate into the nursery's primordial heart. Like the rest of Eden Grove, the garden has been infected with a mysterious blight, and though the angry earth will never accept outsiders into their sacred place, only the players have the power to purge the blight and begin the garden's restoration. The entrance to this expedition is located in the northwestern part of the crater in Eden Grove. Players must have completed the following quests in the area before entering the Garden of Genesis. Survivalist L. Wood's quest in Eden Grove at the Last Stand Outpost. Ranger Harris quest in Shattered Mountains at the Mountain Rise Outpost. Garden of Genesis boss encounters, the Caretaker. Beware the murky waters in the den of this once gentle giant. The Blighted Greenskeeper. This blighted soul stands guard at the very heart of the Garden of Genesis. So I like that they're adding quests that you need to complete to enter the place. It kind of acts as like the feeling of attunement that you would do in, let's say, World of Warcraft to ring the gong for AQ40. And I like the feeling that you have to complete something just to be able to go in there. It kind of feels like a accomplishment a little bit. Sometimes it's a little more of a hassle, but let's hope that's not the case. Some general changes here. They introduced the first version of Outpost Rush, a new 20v20 in-game PvP mode. We'll have more information on the Outpost Rush in our next update. Main story quests updated through level 40. English voiceover for the main story quest and starter beach has been added. That end one with the voice voiceovers, that's massive. That's something that I hoped they would do when I first played the game in preview, because it felt like it was just lacking. Not having that voiceover, especially for essential story quests, it doesn't feel good. And there's certain games that do it, like ESO, every single quest is voice. And I think that should be the case for most big budget MMOs going forwards. I can understand for smaller budget, but if it's AAA, it needs to be voiced over. It adds so much to it. New armor and weapon quests. Added new weapon quests as journeys to craft and obtain rare armor and weapons, starting at level 40. They leave a note. Gear obtained through these quests is not contention for the best in slots, so we do not expect that this will hurt the market for indie game crafters, which is good. The game's leaning heavily on crafting, and I don't think that they should artificially interrupt that with quest rewards and whatnot. That was something I saw that people were worried about when they talked about legendary items from quests a while back. Each quest has 3 prerequisites: completion of all zone quests for the area the quest is found in, completion of the main storyline up to a specific threshold, and players level 40 plus. Armor quests. This is a quest chain consisting of 5 child quests, which will guide the players to forge each piece of the set. Each successive quest require a new player level threshold, starting at 40, 45, 50, 55, and ending at 60. Unique quest recipes with no skill requirement are given for each armor item. Players can craft the item after gathering the requisite ingredients. Quest locations. The light armor quests are granted by survivalist Taverno in Weaver's Fen. I'm already going to tell you I'm going to mess up a lot of names here. It's guaranteed. Might as well just accept it. The medium armor quests are granted by Quartermaster Duffy in Cutlass Keys. The heavy armor quests are granted by Justiciar Sobel in Brightwood. Each item in the set contributes to a set bonus, which will confer increased stats depending on the number of armor pieces from a given set that are equipped. Weapon quests. Each quest line consists of 3 child quests to gather materials and forge a weapon. Quest locations. The King Temper Sword quest is granted by Captain Lucian in Cutlass Keys. The Executioner Great Axe is granted by the Head Priestess in Brightwood. The Huntress Bow quest is granted by the Barkeep in Weaver's Fen. The Falmia's Wrath Firestaff quest is granted by Magistrate Allen in Weaver's Fen. The Hope Manifest Life quest is granted by Herbalist Leu in Brightwood. Progression updates. Decreased XP required from level 8 to 60 by 10%. Decreased XP from PvP faction missions by 5% to 18%. Players killing weaker creatures now suffer diminishing returns on XP gains of 40% for creatures 10 to 19 levels below them and 80% for 20 plus levels below them. Adjusted the level range to which players see a skull icon, indicating that they are above the player's level and that they should tread with caution. Previously, the skull icon was displayed when an enemy was 6 plus levels above the player, and is now displayed when the enemy is 10 plus levels above the player. As a reminder, the skull icon indicates that an enemy has the following properties. They outright kill the player, rather than leaving them at the death's door, and they have increased perception range of 10 plus meters, and they do not get staggered by the player. Enemies still gain armor buffs starting at 3 levels over the player, and damage buffs starting at 5 levels. So it's interesting that they're decreasing the XP for PvP missions. One thing that I saw in the preview, people would flag for PvP and just continuously run these missions. I'm not sure if they dislike that or if they're adding some other system to compensate for that, because spamming contracts like that, it just did not feel good. But it was one of the fastest ways to level up. And that's now been significantly nerfed depending on what the 18% applies to. I guess we'll hear more in the future what their plans are with that and what they plan to do. I assume that they're going to replace that with some other mechanics to basically just increase the fun and make it not as repetitive. And it's interesting that they decreased the XP from 8 to 60 by 10%. Personally, I like games that make you kind of work for it. This is something that during the preview that I posted on the forums, that I hope it takes a long time to get up there in both level and skilling levels, because it feels like a sense of accomplishment. You actually had to work for it. You had to invest your time into the character. I've played a few games in the past that do that exact thing, and you could spend multiple hundreds of hours on one skill just to get to the highest level, and it felt good in the end. It felt rewarding, but that was also due to the design, because the rewards were they felt rewarding. Next up, we got the loot and gear. Adjusted drop logic so that weapons are more likely to drop with attributes that are more directly relevant to the weapon. Increased chances of items dropping with the gem slot so that they are the same as the chances of rolling other perks or attributes. Due to the multiplicative nature of drop calculation, this will also affect the odds of items rolling additional bonuses. So expect to see an increase in natural rare or epic rolls at the tiers they are available. Added additional named items as expedition drops. Each expedition boss and mini boss now has a wide variety of named items, including some new named trinkets. That's interesting. Each expedition now has a variety of named items in its global dungeon drop table. After level 10, quest reward containers for armors and weapons will always result in an item of uncommon rarity or higher. Adjusted drop logic of large chests so that they drop between 2 to 3 gear pieces. All equipable items are now either bind on equip or bind on pickup. This is an important step to protecting our item economy and keeping demand for quality items high by ensuring that an item, once equipped, is removed from the economy by being bound to a player and unable to be resold. We create space in the economy for similar items to be sold to other players on the trading post or scrapped for repair parts. Updated the look of some of the armor pieces dropped by the ancient enemies in the world, including tier 5 light armor, tier 5 heavy armor, tier 3 and 4 medium armor. So I like this addition with the gems. I really hope that they in the future maybe add to where you can put multiple gems in there. I only ever saw one gem in the previews, like one gem slot per item. I really hope that they make it to where you can have multiple gems, kind of like a Path of Exile type deal, but obviously not have the abilities attached to the gems. And it's interesting right here that they name the global dungeon drop table. It kind of makes me wonder if they're going to have like a drop table log, similar to some other games where they have, you know, the book that you can go through and see all the drops or how many of X drops that you've received or stuff like that. I like that kind of stuff. I wish more games would have that, but we'll see in the future. And then they also talk about trinkets. That's a little bit interesting because in the preview, I'm almost positive we did not have trinkets, and there's a picture of the new layout for the armor system, and in the bottom left you can see beside the bags 3 slots that I'm pretty sure the trinkets will be in, and that was not there in the preview. We only had the bags, I'm pretty sure. So I'm interested to see what those trinkets do. Maybe they can be like interactables, like to hold their own skill that can be activated. That could be interesting, or modify your abilities in some way. But that's interesting to see because we did not have that, and that's potentially something new. Now, the bind on pickup or bind on equip is definitely a important, very, very important piece to talk about because I care about the economy pretty deeply. I trade in a lot of games, and this needs to be a thing. I want to see more stuff take items out of the economy, but this is a good start, a very good start. I hope that they don't make too many items bind on pickup though. If I get something extremely rare from a boss in a dungeon, I really want to be able to sell that. I love the open forum aspect of trading. I've played a lot of games in the past that do that, and honestly that's a whole different section of content for certain people. It's just grinding out certain items to resell. That's what some people find fun, and they'll spend thousands of hours doing that exact thing for reasons. And it's always good that they're adding more variety to armor pieces, because once again in the preview and also in their teasers for the legendary weapons and all that they did a while ago, there's a lot of complaints that all the weapons looked the exact same That is not an exaggeration. They were the exact same with different particle effects. So this is good, and I hope that this applies to those things. Crafting and gathering. Updated drop rates for rare gathering resources like Fey Iron. Drops are now less rare and more heavily impacted by luck bonuses from food and armor. When a drop occurs, it drops a quantity range instead of just a single item. So it could be from 1 to 10, let's say. Adjusted the crafting requirements of named items to accommodate the additional rare gathering resources that multiple drops will create. Adjusted refining requirements for precious metals to reflect the same pattern of mundane metals, like silver ingots are now mixed with gold, or to create gold ingots. This is a necessary step to keeping the demand for silver relevant, like we do for other lower tier resources. Added a new set of crafting modifiers that enable you to apply a specific attribute role to an item when crafting. These crafting modifiers come in a variety of sources, including loot containers, various enemy families, and gathering. Attribute crafting modifiers can be upgraded by skilled crafters to apply more powerful bonuses on high tier items. Note, the tier of the item being crafted ultimately restricts the level of the bonus that can be applied, so using a higher level crafting modifiers on a low tier item won't necessarily result in better bonuses. Upgrading a attribute crafting modifier requires a transmutation catalyst, which can be purchased from your faction's shop. Remove the ability to salvage elemental essence down to lower tiers. Instead, skilled arcanists can upgrade elemental essence to higher tiers. Tier 1 elemental essence can be acquired in the world. All others must be upgraded. Primary ingredients for procedural crafts are now constrained to their tier. We were seeing some confusion with how the system worked with regards to the changing of the tier of the primary ingredient, resulting in changing the entire recipe. Secondary ingredients can still use any tier of ingredient or resource and achieve the same effect. Unmask the variety of secret ingredients in the ingredient selector on the crafting screen. Players should now be able to see the various ways rare resources like Fey Iron can be used, even without having the resource. Tier 2 craftable named magic staves now grant attribute bonuses that directly benefit their performance. Reduce crafting ingredient requirements for repair kits. Increase the attribute bonus provided by food at each tier. Tuned health recovery food to recover more health and adjusted the burst healing time from 10 seconds to 20 seconds. It now also has a status effect to more clearly explain the mechanic. Adjusted buff duration on foods, potions, and coatings so that the higher tiers last longer in addition to being more effective. Added material converters to the faction shop. Material converters can be used to alchemically convert refining reagents like sandpaper to another refining reagent with a small loss of efficiency. Currently the ratio is 4:3, and the action requires the use of one of the refining stations in a settlement. Fishing tuning and polishing. Polished fishing quest objectives and improved the rewards, including new fishing armor with new perks and special fishing poles. Added rarities/tiers to fish fillets to support fish rarities and bolster procedural cooking, as well as general salvaging improvements. Added fishing projects to territory projects. Okay, so I like the drop rates for the rare resources. Personally, I don't think they should have made it less rare. I think that they should have just added more effects on luck bonuses from food and armor, just a little bit more to compensate for it being, them not bumping up the rareness. Because I like things to be rare now. And I like to get excited for finding something extremely rare. But I do like the addition to the getting a range of quantity. That does feel good when you get 5 or 6 compared to just 1. It kind of just feels like a feels good man. And down here they kind of snuck in a transmutation catalyst along with material converters, which you need to buy from your faction's shop. And I assume that you're going to need the currency for the PvP missions to purchase them, And I think that this is a really good way to kind of incentivize doing PvP missions or PvP activities in the world. And it kind of reinforces PvP players supporting PvE players. And I think that there should be more systems that intertwine like this, so each of them feed off each other, creating a system where they both kind of just rely on each other. You need both to make a whole. And this whole section with the fishing armor and the new perks and special fishing poles kind of has me excited. I hope that they add like a skilling outfit type deal where like the whole outfit might increase the chances of a rare fish or your chances of catching multiple fish at once, those types of things. Now on for the UI inventory update, part 1. We are implementing some improvements to the inventory screen for this release. We've changed the screen's overall presentation. Added a full character view for players to inspect their loadouts in full glory. Added a new dynamic layout that keeps your inventory closest to your equipment for more convenient drag and drop and less accidental dropping items. All icons have been updated to a single size grid square, allowing for more compact formatting in multiple screens. Added equipment load numbers for players to clearly see the threshold amounts for their equipment load. This UI looks amazing. I was really hoping they would do something like this. In the preview, UI was pretty bad when you're swapping out items, and this looks absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of changes here. Like I mentioned earlier, on the bottom left, we have the trinkets, which is going to be interesting. Now for the combat. AI combat updates part 3. We've continued to tune and refine our existing AI combat experience. This release, we've updated another large batch of AI enemies. Potions now have a cooldown timer. Potions of the same type will share a timer when consumed. All health potions, all health regens, all mana potions, not allowing you to consume another potion of that type until the cooldown has expired. The act of consuming a potion is considerably faster and no longer slows you down if you are navigating. The respective cooldowns in place are 10 seconds for mana potions, 10 seconds for cleansing potions, 30 seconds for health potions, 30 seconds for health regen potions, and 60 seconds for haste potions. I'm excited to see what that haste potion is. I hope it just makes you go faster, or helps your stamina regen. That'd be cool to see. The default block angle is now front 180 degrees. The previous angle of front 90 degrees would have sometimes allowed hits through even though it visually looked like the attack was blocked. Updated functionality on melee attacks, which should now have more consistent hits against shorter enemies or enemies that are above or below you on an incline, resulting in fewer misses while attacking. Attribute rework. Increase the amount of damage scaling per attribute point invested. We want players to invest in the appropriate attributes to use weapons efficiently. Reduce the base damage of weapons to account for the new attribute point increase. Tuned constitution so that the percentage of increase in health is generally equal to the new damage increases. Adjusted the way dual attribute weapons scaled to make them more competitive with single attribute weapons and offer more build flexibility. Single attribute weapons still offer max weapon damage, but this will keep dual attribute weapons competitive. Single attribute weapons have only a primary attribute, and the way this single attribute scales is considered the baseline, 1x. Warhammer Strength, Great Axe Strength, Bow Dexterity, Fire Staff Intelligence, Life Staff Focus. For dual attribute weapons, the primary attribute, listed first below, scales at 0.9x compared to the single attribute weapons, and the secondary attribute scales at 0.65x compared to the single attribute weapons. Sword, Strength, and Dexterity. Rapier, Dexterity, and Intelligence. Hatchet primary, Strength, and Dexterity. Spear primary, Strength, and Dexterity. Rifle primary, Dexterity, and Intelligence. I like that they're tuning this around to make for more build options. I think it's going to be fun once we get in game and start with the mainly PvP. That's what I'm excited for with stuff like this, to see what kind of weapon builds or what people come up with. I love games that have a bunch of variety, because eventually you'll just go against something that's completely busted and just get completely stomped by it, and it's always from something that people never really thought about. And I love seeing like weird builds like that crop up. It's fun. Armor changes. Physical and elemental armor ratings now scale consistently across armor classes. This means that heavy armor now has the highest armor ratings for both physical and elemental damage, while light armor has the lowest. Each weight class of armor has 3 different types of armor distribution: physical, more physical protection, less elemental protection; elemental, more elemental protection, less physical protection; balanced, equal protection for physical and elemental. The amount of armor that shields provide has been reduced significantly. New damage mitigation bonus: round shield 1.35%, kite shield 2.6%, tower shield 5.2%. These mitigation bonuses scale down with higher base armor ratings. With light armor, these mitigation numbers would be reduced significantly, and with heavy armor, they'd be cut by about 50%. Shield weights have been standardized across tiers. Because shields affect equipment load, it was frustrating that a higher tier of the same type of shield would cause a player to go over their equipment load. That has been solved with this update. Equipment load changes. We want each equipment load to have a unique role and strengths, so we made some major changes to the way equipment load works. Light and medium equip loads now get a damage bonus of 20% for light, 10% for medium. Medium and heavy equipment loads now get a duration bonus of 10% for medium and 20% for heavy for stuns, slows, and roots. Removed accuracy, grit, damage resistance, and stamina modifiers from all equipment load bonuses. Reduced block stability bonus for heavy equipment loads from 35% to 25%, and removed penalty from light. Increased stamina cost for light and heavy equipment load dodges from 40 to 50. Dodging with a medium equip load still costs 40. Medium equipment load thresholds reduced from 17.5 to 15, and heavy equipment load thresholds reduced from 32.5 to 30. Grit changes. While grit is active, you are unstoppable, which means the attack will no longer be interrupted. You will continue to take damage, though, and can be killed during a grit attack. Grit has been removed from many abilities: Flurry, Skewer, Perforate, Judgment's Reach, Gravity Well, Maelstrom, Incinerate, Cliché, Vault Kick, Whirlwind Burnout, Whirling Blades, and Power Throw. Alright, so next up is the balance changes. This one is going to be absolutely massive. This takes up more than 3/4 of the update, and it's going to be a lot of reading, a lot of numbers, and a lot of stuff that we can't even test really. But I'm going to go through and read it all anyways. I'm going to have a bunch of timestamps because this one's going to more than likely take up more than half of the video. Be sure to check out those timestamps if you have any specific weapon, or you want to skip to just my conclusions and my thoughts on this patch. Or just click off, honestly, because this one's going to be a little while. Alright, we made major updates to every weapon and their mastery lines to continue to push ability differentiation by giving each ability a clear primary focus. As part of this, we have increased the total mastery choices per weapon from 32 to 38 to allow for even more options to tailor your fighting style. First up, we have the sword. Renamed the 2 mastery lines from Sword and Shield to Swords Master and Defender. Sped up light attacks, added a 3rd hit to the light attack chain. Sword Mastery line moved leadership to the Swords Master line. Removed precision, fine precision, keen blade, ultra keen, and killer advantage. Added empower stab, Achilles heel, precision, freeing justice, mobility, opportunist, critical precision, and confidence. Reverse stab increased damage to 175%. Removed the first swing from the animation. Added a new upgrade, Tactician. On a successful hit with reverse stab, all sword cooldowns are reduced by 35%. That's actually pretty cool. Whirling Blade removed current upgrades and added 2 new upgrades. Opportunity. Whirling Blade causes 20% rend for 5 seconds. Rend reduces target's armor. Tactical Strike. Whirling Blade reduces its cooldown by 10% for each enemy hit. Leaping Strike. Increased Leaping Strike leap distance by 2 meters and sped up the animation. Removed the current upgrades and added 2 new upgrades. Final Strike. If you hit a foe below 30% health, deal 50% more damage. Cowardly Punishment. If a Leaping Strike hits a target in the back, it causes a slow, reducing the target's movement speed for 10 seconds. Defender Mastery Line. Added a new ultimate mastery, defensive formation, while blocking. Reduced damage to all other allies within 2 meters by 33%. Removed incoming resistance, bladed fortitude. Added On with the Shield, final blow, defensive training. Changed Barricade Shield's name to High Grip. Shield Rush. Removed Refreshing Rush upgrade. Moved Intimidating Rush to the final upgrade. Added new upgrade, Improved Rush. On a successful hit, all enemies within 5 meters are weakened for 4 seconds. Shield Bash. Added a new upgrade, Intimidating Bash. Shield Bash greatly increases threat and deals 100% more damage. Final Stand upgrade now reduces damage by a flat 30% for 8 seconds. Reduced cooldown from 120 seconds to 45 seconds. Removed Enduring Stand. Added new upgrade, Final Countdown. If your health is below 50%, damage reduction increased by 20%. Added new upgrade, Restoration. Gain 15% health when Final Stand ends. Next we have the Hatchet. Most passives across both trees have been updated to be more conditional and unique. Berserker Mastery Line. Added new ultimate mastery, Defy Death. When you receive lethal damage, avoid death. Reduced health to 50, gain immortality for 4 seconds, 60-second cooldown. Removed Cold the Weak, Relentless Fury, Regenerative Kills, Iron Splitter. Added Enraging Strike, Accomplished Power, Relentless Fury, Desperate Refresh, Against All Odds, Fortifying Strikes, Frenzied Purge. Removed Aimed Throw as an ability and turned it into a passive that replaces block. With this passive selected, holding down the right mouse button initiates an aimed throw, and each throw consumes stamina. Removed Purge, Quick Throw, and Power Throw abilities and replaced them with new abilities. Barrel Rush, renamed from Sprint Attack. Removed Sprinting Grit, Sprinting Refresh, and Sprinting Wound. Added upgrade Dispatch. If target is below 30% health, Feral Rush deals 20% more damage. Added upgrade Crippling Strike. If you hit a target in the back, Feral Rush causes root, immobilizing the target for 2 seconds. Berserk. Berserk now applies a flat damage bonus while active, and no longer requires hits to be taken in order to work. Berserk Speed renamed to On the Hunt. Berserking Refresh now heals 30% of the max health when Berserk ends. Added Berserking Purge. Triggering Berserk removes all crowd control effects, stun, slow, and root. Added new upgrade, Unstoppable Berserk. While in Berserk, you are unstoppable and cannot be interrupted. Removed from Immortal Berserk. Raging Torrent, new. Perform 4 fast attacks, each dealing 80% weapon damage. Added upgrade, Aggressive Approach. Hitting a target grants 20% haste for 6 seconds. Added upgrade, Final Blow. Pressing left mouse button to perform a final attack dealing 115% weapon damage. Throwing Mastery Line. Added a new ultimate passive, Persistent Hindrance. Successful throwing hatchet hits extend all buff durations by 1%. Removed Bloodlust. Added Aimed Throw. Replaces block with aimed throw that deals 90% weapon damage. Hold right mouse button to enter the aim stance. Each throw consumes 30 stamina. Critical Throw. thrown axes are now capable of triggering headshot or random critical hit. Also increases critical hit chance of all attacks by 5%. On fire, every third successful thrown axe is a guaranteed crit. Rejuvenating crits, successful critical hits with light attacks or aimed throws regenerate 20 stamina. Refreshing throws, light attacks and aimed throws against targets with a active debuff reduces all cooldowns by 10%. Exploration, all attacks deal 15% additional damage to targets with an active debuff. Boot and rally, light attacks and aimed throws regenerate 20 stamina when hitting targets with an active debuff. Adrenaline rush, dodging within 2 seconds of triggering an ability consumes 25% less stamina. Rending throw, new. Rending throw applies rend to the target, causing them to take additional damage. Added upgrade, targeted impact, rending throw increased to 20% damage in 6 seconds if you are more than 8 meters away from the target. Added upgrade, opportunistic, rending throw deals 20% more damage if target has another debuff already. Added upgrade, second wind, using rending throw on a target with another debuff already applied causes rending throw to refresh 20% faster. Social distancing, new, throw an axe and dodge backwards, dealing 120% weapon damage and causing 15% slow for 3 seconds. Added upgrade, quick power, increases your movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds if your target had an active debuff. Added upgrade, stay back, slow increase to 25% for 4 seconds. Infected throw, new. Throw an axe, causing 130% weapon damage and causing disease and weakness for 5 seconds. Added upgrade, mortal power. Increase the duration of disease and weakness to 8 seconds if target is below 30% health. Added upgrade, aerial transmission. Create a 3-meter disease area on impact that lingers for 3 seconds. Now we have the Rapier. Flurry. Animation sped up by 30%. Non-critical damage reduced by 25%. Critical damage reduced by 35%. Flurry can now be cancelled by dodge. Increased distance of initial lunge, but removing the rest of the movement during the ability. Finish. Increased base damage over time consumption to 110%. Riposte no longer has 3-frame startup. Duration increased from 0.75 seconds to 1 second. Fléché will no longer cancel auto-run, will now correctly disable player collision during the entire ability. Evade will no longer cancel auto-run. Evasion distance increased as follows. Forward from 1.3 meters to 1.5. Back from 2 meters to 2.3 meters. Left and right from 1.5 meters to 1.7 meters. Perk 3 changed to evading forward gains 15% increased damage on your next light attack for 1 second. Previously, this perk reduced cooldown by 75% after heavy attacks. Now we have the Great Axe, renamed the Reaper Mastery line to Mauler, and renamed the Marauder Mastery line to Reaping. Reaping Mastery line added new ultimate mastery, Bloodlust, move 30% faster and deal 15% more damage while looking at a foe within 15 meters. Remove the following passives: Empowered Swing, Resistant Grit, Painless Wounds, Unending Slice. Added passives: Greed. Light attacks with your Great Axe gives you 10% damage for 5 seconds, max 3 stacks. Executioner's Speed. Every 2 consecutive light attacks with a Great Axe grants 3 seconds of 20% haste. You move faster. Critical gains. When you make a critical hit with a Great Axe, heal yourself for 10% of the damage done. Death's Embrace. Great Axe attacks against foes below 50% health penetrate armor by 10%. Frustration. After one of your attacks is blocked, gain 10% damage for 10 seconds. Only 1 stack of this particular damage boost may be active at once. Keen Edge. Critical damage increased by 15%. Critical Condition. Great Axe attacks against foes below 50% health will crit 15% more often. Feed. Great Axe attacks against foes below 30% health heal you for 10% damage done. Charge, renamed from Engage, changed base ability to no longer scale with distance. Indefensible, replaced with new upgrade Momentum. Charge deals 130 to 150% weapon damage based on how far you traveled. Charge Swing, renamed to Unpredictable Strike. Unpredictable strike damage increased from 110% to 130% to 150% / 175%. Reap, renamed from Judgment's Reach, moved to the Reaping line. Added a row 3 upgrade for Reap called Hunger. Heal yourself for 30% of damage done by Reap. Execute, renamed from Execution. Base ability now deals 30% more damage to foes below 50% health. Damage increased from 130% to 150%. Killing Refresh replaced with new upgrade, Unstoppable Greed. Execution becomes unstoppable. Mauler Mastery line. Whirlwind moved to Mauler line. Base damage reduced from 75% to 50%. Whirlwind moved to unlock row 2. Strengthening Winds removed. Unending Winds renamed to Gusting Winds and moved to row 3. New row 4 upgrade called Surrounded. If you have 3 or more foes around you, deal 20% more damage while in Whirlwind. Maelstrom moved up to row 1. Gravity Well, area of effect, has been increased from 2 meters to 4 meters. Refreshing Well replaced with Unyielding. Allies gain 20% damage reduction while standing in your well. Mauler's Fury, Marauder's Fury renamed to Mauler's Fury, and moved to new Mauler line. Removed the following passives: Weakened Restraint and Pursuit. Added passives Mauler's Resolve, Revenge, and Center of Attention. Renamed Enduring Pull to Gravity. Moved Crowd Protection to row 5. Now we have the Warhammer. Most passives across both trees have been updated to be more conditional and unique, with fewer passives that provide flat bonuses. Light Attack sped up the Warhammer's light attack slightly. The second light attack of the Warhammer's 2-chain hit has been updated and fits better with the flow of the first attack. Modified the window between the first and second light attacks to make the transition feel smoother. Juggernaut Mastery line adjusted to focus more on a single target damage. Crowd Crusher Tree Mastery line to focus on more crowd control debuffs and dealing with multiple enemies at once. Removed Grit from automatically being added to heavy attacks. Grit is now unlocked via passive upgrade. Removed passives relating to only Siege, as their functionality was too specific to a single game mode. Removed passive that increased Grit damage due to Grit being modified to not be interruptible anymore. Removed all upgrades and abilities that added a flat damage increase or AoE size increase. Armor Breaker renamed from Block Breaker. Base ability now penetrates a percentage of the target's armor. Upgrade expand on the idea of being unstoppable and weakening enemy. Mighty Gavel animation updated. Mighty Gavel now uses the old Path of Destiny animation. Removed reactions from Mighty Gavel to keep it from being a CC ability. Made the Justice for all Mighty Gavel ultimate trigger off a button push instead of automatically. Increased the damage of Mighty Gavel now that it no longer does any CC. Wrecking Ball animation updated. Wrecking Ball now uses the old Mighty Gavel animation. This attack no longer channels multiple attacks after the first hit. Added a flattening reaction. Removed Siege related upgrade as it was too specific to a single game mode. Clear Out reduced the knockback distance to allow for more actions to be done to enemies after using a crowd control ability on them. Previously, targets hit with Clear Out would be knocked back so far it would be impossible to capitalize on the attack afterwards. Shockwave slightly sped up the startup Shockwave. removed pushback on shockwave to make it easier to attack the enemy that has been stunned by the attack. Sped up the recovery of shockwave ability to allow players to more effectively follow up on the hit and the stun it creates. Stun duration was shortened to account for equipment load modifications. Removed the upgrade that increased the range of shockwave and made the upgrade range the default. Path of Destiny animation updated. Path of Destiny now uses the old Wrecking Ball animation. Path of Destiny now pushes back directly based on the attacker's position. This will prevent enemies from being pushed random directions on hit. Path of Destiny no longer has full knockback, now with skill damages. Does a small pushback and has a upgrade option to stagger targets on hit. Adjusted Path of Destiny area of effect to be able to hit targets closer to the player. Removed the upgrade that increased the area of Path of Destiny and made the upgraded range the default. Now we have the Spear. Removed Potent Thrust, Defensive Adjustment, Invigorating Kills, and Refreshing Bloodlust passives. Added Refreshing Roach, Precise Jabs, Invigorating Crits, Evasive Maneuvers, Defensive Stance, Strong Conditioning, Crippling Jabs, Aggressive Maneuvers, and Exposed Wounds passives. Reduced pushback on light and heavy attacks. Reduced delay between attacks in the light attack chain. Standardized the pushback distance between regular heavy and full charge heavy attacks. Deadly Reach now increased critical chance by 10% instead of increased damage. Cyclone increased from 75% damage to 100% damage. Removed Staggering, reduced pushback from 5 meters to 3 meters, added 50% slow for 3 seconds on successful hits. Perforate increased from 50% weapon damage per hit to 70% weapon damage per hit. Removed Stagger from first hit, increased Rupturing Strike rend bonus from 8% to 10%, and added condition that the target be above 50% health. Impactful Strike has new functionality, now staggers the target in all 3 hits. Now staggers the target if all 3 hits are successful. Skewer, bleed reduced from 15% damage to 10% damage. Bleed now ticks once per second instead of 2 seconds. Removed stagger and follow-up kick. Removed stab from 135% damage to 125% damage. Added 1 meter pushback to stab. Replaced empowering execution with new upgrade follow through. Adds 20% empower for 10 seconds on critical hit. Deep wound now increases bleed duration from 10 seconds to 15 seconds instead of increasing bleed damage. Vault kick replaced exhaust with 1.5 second stun. Reduced from 100% weapon damage to 75% weapon damage. Reduced pushback from 4 meters to 2 meters. Reduced deadly opportunity with relentless blows. Adds 20% empower for 5 seconds after successfully hitting a target below 50% health. Replaced exhausting impact with continuous motion. Cooldowns for other spear abilities are reduced by 30% on successful hit. Now we have the bow. Descriptions have all been updated to include more info. Huntsman line renamed to Skirmisher. Bowman line renamed to Hunter. Removed Smoke Shot. Skirmisher Mastery line added a new ultimate passive, Knee Shot. All leg shots cause 30% slow for 4 seconds. Removed passive, Arrow Range. Headhunter, Steady Hand, Shooter's Hand, and added passives, Catch Me If You Can. If surrounded by 3 or more foes within 3 meters, you gain 33% haste, you move faster. Impale, if you hit a foe with 100% health, cause 30% slow for 2 seconds. Closing In, hit a foe below 50% health, reduces bow ability recharge by minus 5%. Dodge and Weave, after you dodge, gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. Hunter Insight, hitting a foe with a debuff grants 5 stamina. Archer Speed, gain 20% haste for 5 seconds when you swap to your bow. 10-second cooldown. Mark. Deal 10% more damage to foes suffering from a debuff. Battle Precision. Debuff duration lasts 20% longer. Evade Shot. Evade Shot moved up to row 1. Removed evasion distance and added new Go the Distance passive. Poison Shot. New ability. Poison Shot creates a cloud of poison where the arrow lands. Upgrade 1. Infect your arrows. Poison deals more damage per tick. Upgrade 2. If you directly hit a target with Poison Shot, it deals 200% more damage. Hunter Mastery Line. Added new ultimate passive. Concussion. Headshots deal 20% more damage and have 50% chance to return your arrow. Removed passives. Piercing Arrow. Heavy Knockback. Quick Kill. Archer's Efficiency. Kill Power. Added passives. Long range, deal 20% more damage to foes at least 10 meters away. Aim True. Heavy attack arrows fly faster and deal 30% more damage. Finishing Shot. If your target is below 50% health, deal 20% more damage. Unbreakable Focus. Receive 20% less damage while aiming. Opening Strike. Heavy attack deals plus 20% damage to foes with 100% health. Surprise Attack. If you haven't damaged a foe in the last 10 seconds, deal 20% extra damage. Arrow Range. Increased arrow distance before start of gravity by 100%. Hawkeye. When you land a headshot, heal yourself for 10% of the damage done. Bullseye. Bow shots critical chance increased by 10%. Penetrating Shot. Moved to skirmisher line in row 3. Penetrating Shot no longer loses damage per hit. Upgrade 1. Blood-Soaked Arrow. Increased damage by 20% after each hit. Upgrade 2. Deep Strike. If target is more than 20 meters, deal 20% more damage. Splinter Shot. Renamed from Spread Shot. Moved to row 1. Splinter Shot now splits into multiple arrows after traveling 10 meters. Upgrade 1. Scatter Shot. Splinter Shot splits into 5 arrows. Upgrade 2. Calculated. Reduced cooldown of Splinter Shot per hit by 10%. Rapid Shot. Moved to row 3 and moved to Hunter Line. Upgrade 1. Rapid Accuracy. If all 3 arrows hit, Rapid Shot's cooldown is reduced by 50%. Upgrade 2. Final Blow. Third shot of Rapid Shot deals 50% extra damage. Rain of Arrows. Move to Hunter Line into row 2. Upgrade 1. Barbed Arrows. Rain of Arrows now causes bleed, dealing 85% damage over 12 seconds. Upgrade 2. Hooked Arrows. Rain of Arrows now causes 30% damage for 4 seconds. And now we have the Musket. Most passives across both mastery trees have been updated to be more conditional and unique. Remove the 1.5 times zoom passive and kept the Sniper 3x zoom ultimate. We also balanced the zoom level to fit with the default field of view and added a permanent headshot damage modifier to the passive. Slightly sped up standard musket reload time. Removed the gun butt melee attack to prevent it from interfering with hip firing or reloading. Removed sacrifice, as abilities that trigger on death are too situational. Made the sharpshooter trees passives focus more on ranged combat and greatly rewarding accuracy by providing more benefits for headshots and consistently hitting targets. Made the trapper tree passive focus more on movement and debuffing targets to allow for more options when closer to enemies. Power shot. Slightly increased damage of power shot to make it stand out more from the other overload shots, and because the shot can no longer carry over into all of the shooter's stance. Remove the upgrade to speed up the loading of power shot and made it the default load speed for overloading shots. Powder burn. Replace the play dead with powder burn, an alternate shot to load into the musket that does initial damage upon hit and sets the target on fire for burning damage over time. Shooter stance. Extended shooter stance rotation angle to 180 degrees in order to widen the field of view while aiming. Removed shot power. This allows us to increase the damage of Power Shot without worrying about it being too powerful when combined with Shooter's Stance. Reduce the reload time while in Shooter's Stance to make it easier to fire off shots more quickly, reducing overall time needed to be in the stance. Traps. Reduce the max trap count to 2. Lowered the cooldown from 30 seconds to 20 seconds. Reduced duration of musket traps on ground from 30 seconds to 20 seconds to account for the shorter cooldown, and to encourage more dynamic use in combat. Made it so traps are thrown by default instead of requiring an upgrade to throw them. Stopping power, replacing Hunter's Vision. Stopping power is an alternate shot to load into the musket that knocks back targets a few meters, allowing players to create some room between self and enemy if needed. Sticky Bomb. Reduced max sticky bomb count to 1, but reduced cooldown. This makes it easier to immediately shoot after throwing a bomb, and it also helps balance out the damage, as a single sticky bomb previously did not do much damage, but 2 bombs on the same target would do too much. Reduced knockback on sticky bomb explosions. Now we have the Fire Staff, renamed Flame Summoner Mastery Line to Fire Magic, renamed Pyromaniac Mastery Line to Pyromancer. Siege has been removed and replaced with Fireball. Fire Mage Mastery Line added new ultimate, Runes of Helios. Casting a spell places a rune on the ground, increasing that spell's damage and all your subsequent damage by 30% for 7 seconds. This has an internal cooldown of 30 seconds. Removed Advanced Sorcery, Demonic Ascension, Summoner's Gift, Burning Charge, and Fire Flare from the Flame Summoner's Tree. Added upgrades, Spell Focus, heavy attacks restore 5% of your max mana on hit, Fire Restoration, heavy attacks reduce Fire Staff cooldowns by 10%, Clear Mind, while above 50% mana you gain 10% Empower, Empower increases damage, Flare, heavy attacks no longer consume mana, Singe, you can crit while holding a Fire Staff, causing burning, dealing 3% weapon damage each second or 6 seconds. Spell Slinger, your abilities gain an extra 15% chance to crit. Clear Casting, if you haven't taken damage in the last 3 seconds, deal 10% more damage. Prophet of the Fire God, while holding a Fire Staff, your critical strike damage is increased by 35%. Flame Pillars. Flame Pillar upgrades have been reworked. First strike increases damage of pillar of fire by 40% to enemies at 100% health. Arson's Advantage. Regain 10 mana per enemy hit by this ability. Meteor Shower. This has been moved within the Mastery Tree, and its upgrades have been reworked. Immolation. Hits of Meteor Shower refund 1 mana each. Determination. Gain Unstoppable while casting Meteor. Judgment of Helios. Cause 25% more meteors to hit during the entire channel. Fireball. New. Shoot a heavy fireball that deals damage on impact and leaves behind burning fields 3 meters wide at its impact location. This skill has 2 upgrades. Scorched Earth. Burning Zone persist for 9 seconds. Catch. Direct hits refund 10 mana and reduced cooldown by 10%. Pyromancer Mastery Line added new ultimate Reheat. After going 5 seconds without using an active ability, you gain 500% mana regeneration. Removed upgrades, Flame Barrier, Burning Agony, and Prophet of a Fire God. Added upgrades, Heat Up. When you block a melee attack, restore 5% of your maximum mana. Let it burn. Whenever burn deals damage, gain 30% Fortify for 2 seconds. Fortify reduces damage taken. Kindle. Burning lasts 20% longer. Watch it burn. Light attacks cause the enemy to catch fire, dealing 3% weapon damage every second for 6 seconds. Combat Speed. When you activate a Fire Staff ability, gain 20% haste for 3 seconds. This has a 10-second internal cooldown. Rebalanced Pyromania to be 20% damage while below 50% health. Incinerate. Moved Incinerate's location within the Mastery Tree and reworked its upgrades. Scorch. Applies an additional stack of burning. Cauterize Wounds. Restores 30% damage dealt by Incinerate. Flame Out. Cast Incinerate twice. Second cast at 50% effectiveness. Flamethrower. Moved Flamethrower's location within the mastery tree and reworked its upgrades. Fire's Reach increased the range of Flamethrower by 50%. Infernal Flames increased the base damage of Flamethrower by 25%. Pyrodancer Flamethrower has no cooldown. Now for the final one, the Life Staff. Updated all descriptions to include more information. Renamed Protector Mastery Line to Healing. Renamed Lifestealer Mastery Line to Protection. Removed Holy Shield, Speed of Light, Healing Pulse, Siphon, and Smite abilities. Healing Mastery Line added new Ultimate Mastery. Divine Blessing. When you heal an ally, if their health is below 50%, heal them for 30% more. Removed upgrades, Celestial Projectile, Mana Flow, Sacred Protection, Mass Resurrection, and Ancient Guardian. Added upgrades, Absolved, Life Staff, Light Attacks, and Heavy Attacks no longer take mana. Mending Touch, Life Staff, Heavy Attacks now reduce all debuffs when hit on an ally. Blissful Touch, Light Attack now deals 20% weapon damage when hitting an ally. Revitalize, when you hit with a light attack, reduce all your cooldowns by 5%. Desperate Speed, when you heal an ally with less than 50% health, all life staff skills cooldowns are reduced by 10%. Sacred Protection, while holding a life staff, increase the base health of all friendly allies in your group by 10%. Intensify, heavy attacks give you increased healing by 10% for 10 seconds, max 3 stacks. Divine Embrace, Royal Privilege renamed to Privilege. Added a new upgrade, Shared Struggle. If target is below 50% health, heal one additional ally within 8 meters for the same amount. Added a new upgrade. If second target is below 50% health, heal another ally within 8 meters of that ally. Sacred Ground, new. Create a shield on the ground that emits light, healing allies standing in it for 10% weapon damage every second for 12 seconds. Upgrade 1, Holy Ground. Allies regenerate stamina and mana by 100% while in Sacred Ground. Upgrade 2, Blessed. While allies are in the Sacred Ground, they are healed 20% more for all heals. Splash of Light, new. You and all group members are healed for 50% of your weapon damage. Upgrade 1, Shared Recovery. If you heal a target below 50% health, gain 3 mana. Upgrade 2, Purify. Splash of Light also removes all debuffs from healed players. Protection Mastery Line. Removed upgrade Refresh, Arcane Rage, Soul Steal, Transcendence, Resuscitate. Added upgrades. Bend Light. After a dodge roll, you heal 20% more effective for 5 seconds. Defensive Light. When you block a melee attack, gain 5% of your maximum mana. Protector's Touch. Life Staff, Light, and Heavy attacks grant 15% Fortify for 3 seconds when hitting an enemy. Protector Strength. If you have a buff, heal 10% more. Balance. When you get hit while below 50% health, gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. This upgrade has internal cooldown of 20 seconds. Glowing Focus. Buffs you grant last 20% longer. Orb of Protection, new. Shout Out. A light projectile that grants 20% Fortify for 20 seconds if it hits an ally and deals 85% weapon damage if it hits an enemy. Upgrade 1, Protector's Blessing. If your orb hits an ally, it grants 15% Empower for 10 seconds. Upgrade 2, Shared Protection. If you successfully hit an ally, you gain 20% Fortify for 20 seconds. Upgrade 3, Aegis. When a projectile hits, it affects all allies and enemies within 3-meter radius of the target. Light Embrace, new. Targeted heal for 75% of your weapon damage, plus 50% more healing for each debuff on the target. Upgrade 1, Inspire. Target receives 25 stamina. Upgrade 2, Connection. Gain 1% mana for each buff that the target player has. Upgrade 3, Ultimate. Magnify. Light's Embrace extends Life Staff buff by 2 seconds. Beacon, new. Shout Out, a projectile that creates a healing area on hit that moves with the target, healing allies each second for 10% weapon damage. Upgrade 1, Infuse Light, increase the area of beacon by 50%. Upgrade 2, Radiance Blessing, beacon lasts 5 seconds longer. Upgrade 3, Speed of Light, beacon now applies 30% haste for 3 seconds. Haste increases movement speed. That is it for all of the weapon changes. That took a lot of reading. I think I'm losing my voice at this point, but I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on all of this. I guess starting with the weapon changes, there's a bunch of changes in here that really show that they know the direction that they're going for, and it's pretty obvious at this point that they're going for the trinity of DPS, tank, healer, and they're really trying to play into that, and they're changing everything around to fit it. And it's just good to see that they at least now know what they're trying to do instead of going back and forth. And there's also a lot of abilities that could be very fun in PvP. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. And I'm really glad to hear that they're going to be sticking with the dungeons and adding more that tie into the story, because I feel like there needs to be a story with the dungeons. Maybe, I hope they add voice acting to them. We'll see in the future. And the loot and gear and the crafting, they keep making it better and better. They really are trying to listen to people, it looks like, and they're just rapidly updating this game. I don't think I've ever seen a developer update a game this much in such a short amount of time. So it kind of shows that I think they've cracked what they're trying to do, and they're really going all in on it. And they're finally not trying to please everybody. They're trying to keep everybody entertained, but it's pretty obvious what crowd they're going for, and it's just good to see. Honestly, one of my favorite parts was the UI change where you could see your character while you're putting on your equipment and everything else. That is a extremely amazing UI, and it's probably one of my favorite parts in this entire patch. I hope to see more things like that. If you somehow made it this far or watched the entire thing, I thank you. I don't know how you managed that, but I thank you. If you enjoyed at all or want to stay up to date with anything New World, consider subscribing, liking, maybe ringing that bell. It would help me out a ton, because I will be covering everything New World going forwards and keeping you all up to date as best as I can. And I hope to see you guys in the future. But that'll be it for this. And as always, have a good one.